Wow, John.
Whoa, hello everyone. Welcome to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast. I am your host, Dupe. With me is one of the OG owners and proprietors of Heroes World. That would be John. Say hello to the people.
Hello, people.
And our resident Prince of Mischief variant, insert number here, Mr. Rob Udet.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you for joining us all today.
That was my Doctor Strange impression, by the way.
The cup is empty. He pretends it.
No, there's actually coffee in it, but
Yeah, let me see. Hold it up.
oh, it's gonna spill everywhere.
I mean, you dummy. I was joking.
Wow. It'd be good if it had the fox on the mug.
I know. We're gonna get the fox out of here.
Oh, John, I'm waiting for you to drop the "This is what the fox said" thing from.
Yeah. I don't even. My daughter's listened to that song a million times, and I still don't know the lyrics.
I don't think anyone knows the lyrics. Don't worry.
Like, it's nonsense, right?
That was that was meant to be a joke, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was meant to be like a joke. Was it Sweden or whatever it was? This group said it's a comedy group. They're like, I bet you we can create the most stupidest song and it'll be number one, because at the time, almost every song was stupid. And sure enough, they did it. It was all for
I
a
have a
lark.
feeling that's the exact same way that Baby Shark took off. It's like, this is a stupid song and people are gonna love it. And there it is, Baby Shark, never ends. Yeah. Which, for those who don't know Ted Lasso, the song for Jamie Tart is Baby Shark.
Oh man!
Every time you listen to it, you're like,
I've got it queued up. Hopefully we'll be able to do that Ted Lasso episode soon.
Episode 6 was just, oh my god, it was so good. It was perfect. I loved it. I watched episode 6.
You're hyping up this show quite a bit, Steve. It better live up.
It's gonna be great. Yeah,
you'll love season 1, John.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it was a good episode 6. Spoiler, great Jamie Tart episode. That's anyways.
If you don't love season 1, you have no soul. Put it that way. That's just really how it boils down to.
Your soul is
your soul is mine.
So we're here to discuss what if. Don't worry, the next podcast
happening.
We're gonna rift. Next podcast is we're gonna rift, but this one is episode 3. What if the world lost its mightiest heroes? This is Andre's dream. Everything that Andre dreamed about happened in this episode. So I'm surprised he's not here, because he's like, finally, this has happened. So we're going to talk about our thoughts and views. This is an episode where what if the Avengers OG team started dying off? What is the world going to do? And that is the tag and the whole situation in this episode, without, going into full details. Because John, of course, this is spoilers, so be prepared. What are your thoughts on this episode? What did you like? What did you didn't like? What are your thoughts on performances?
Yeah. So a couple things I really liked in this episode. Black Widow's fighting style looked pretty badass when she was locked in that truck and had to fight off those shield agents. She got some really good shots in, and then it's a really cool move where she kind of like kicks her leg and then keeps it in the air, kicks the next guy, and then it's still in the air, and then takes out the next guy. So I thought it was really cool that they really gave her a slick fighting style. Nick Fury, was that Samuel Jackson's actual voice, or a very good imitator?
Yes.
I do like Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury. It was really it's cool to
see him.
It's
only taking you 22 movies, but sure.
It just feels like we haven't seen him in a second for some reason. I don't know. Because he's not really in those new shows. And then even the return of Agent Coulson in animated form. So that's cool. And then I do like the integration of the Ed Norton Hulk into the universe. So now they put, I guess, Mark Ruffalo in that same, I'm like, that's like a universe U of T or something like that scene took place in the Hulk. And then they put Mark Ruffalo in there. So that's kind of cool. I would actually kind of liked it if it was the Ed Norton Hulk. It would have been kind of interesting for them to go, hey, wait, this guy's also part of this universe. But I did like that. Now, what I didn't like of this episode, I'll chalk it up under can't win them all. So this episode is probably my least favorite of the 3. And it's called like, what if the world lost its mightiest heroes, right? But it should be called, what if Hank Pym went crazy and decided to kill off the Avengers one by one or something like or what if Hope died off screen and her father wanted revenge or something. I didn't like the overall theming of the episode. I would have liked it if so I don't know if there's a hot take or not. I don't know how the internet feels.
It's a hot take already, John. It's already warm. It's how
I would have preferred if they did all this, accomplished most of this episode in the first 10 minutes. And then I wanted to see what if Loki had taken over the Earth, or what if the Avengers were formed with not the original cast. So when they show at the end, they show Nick Fury, and he's unearthing Captain America. Okay, cool. I guess they keep Captain America, so he's not Earth's mightiest hero, I guess, or something technically. And then they pan over and Captain Marvel's there. I'm like, oh, cool. And then the episode ends, and I'm like, okay. So we didn't really get to see anything. We got to see you try and kill the Avengers in creative ways. Scarlet Johansson, or Black Widow. With a really good Scarlett Johansson imitator. Got kind of punked.
First shout outs to Lake Bell, How to Make It in America / Boston Legal / Animal. Like, I think she was in like Children's Hospital. She plays the voice. She's great. I'm a big fan of hers.
Yeah, it sounded like dead on. So now you get into this problem where now you're hiring people to imitate, like the Robert Downey Jr. imitator sounded like.
I'm fine with her. Exactly. If you've seen her, I'm fine with her just replacing her as Black Widow completely. She could just walk in and just be the role. So maybe that's her plan.
So is that her normal voice, or does she normally sound? So she's someone that sounds kind of like a little voice. like ScarJo. So she's got a little bit of that sound. Yeah. So I think they're gonna run into problems if they keep doing all these imitations. I don't know if actors or performers can start copywriting their voice sound or whatever. So I guess that'll be an issue for them to deal with later on. But yeah, overall, I just felt like the episode was a showcase for them to just kill off characters in creative ways and add these little I did appreciate like them you're basically going through a whole bunch of the early MCU movies and seeing these little clips. But I did not find it as interesting as episode 1 and 2 for sure. So if more episodes end up like this one but this is the nature of What If. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't for different people. So if people like this on the internet, if you guys like this, that's awesome. But for me, it didn't fire.
Rob?
Hey.
Thoughts?
Yeah. So it's interesting that John said this is probably his least favorite one, because I have to say, I might actually concur with him as well. So the gimmick, the whole idea, the whole premise is, the Avengers as we know them are being killed off, and they're taking the clips from the movies that we've seen, Iron Man in the donut, Thor breaking into the shield in New Mexico to grab his hammer. And it's just like, hey, we're tilting the frame now, and these people are being killed off. And that was really cool. But to me, then it started to kind of get a little bit long in the tooth, as weird as it sounds for a 28-minute episode. I'm not going to lie. I said this a few weeks ago. The voice casting, when you have people, the actual actors, and then you have not sound-alikes, but just other people, I feel like it's hard to integrate both. And so when you have Samuel L. Jackson and, Phil Coulson, doing their voices, and then you have somebody doing Betty Ross, and it's definitely not Liv Tyler, and it's definitely somebody who didn't even try to, like, this actress, I don't know who it was and whatever. She made it like very different from the character that we saw in that movie. And so it pulls me away sometimes from watching it, because they are taking the exact clips from these movies and spinning it a little bit. I find it really hard to maintain focus and feel like I'm part of the episode, right? Like it's just me. I enjoyed the episode, but I do think that this is probably one of the weakest. I thought I'm not gonna lie, as soon as Hawkeye lets go of the arrow and he kills Thor, which I thought was weird.
Not weird, but yeah.
And he's like, I know I didn't shoot. I didn't let go. I was like, for sure it's Ant-Man. To be honest with you, I never thought it was Hank Pym. I didn't think of that. But then when he pulls off, he was wearing the yellow jacket outfit. And when he pulls off his
helmet,
he doesn't look like Michael Douglas at all. Like he looked like Gandalf almost. And I was like, what the hell is happening? Like, so you have a lot of these characters, even
once
if
he started speaking, that was Michael Douglas.
Right, but the look of him, I get the fact that he's supposed to be in mourning. He's disheveled, like just not looking himself. But still, all the other characters all look like their movie counterparts, and this one definitely didn't. I was like, what is like? I just felt it was very uneven. I also thought was really interesting how when Nick Fury starts fighting him, and he's able to punch him in this, and as he's shrinking down, and Fury's hitting him and everything else, and then the switcheroo. Oh, it's Loki and some of that. I'm going to say though, the best part of this episode was Tom Hiddleston's Loki. Like his delivery in those lines was hilarious. And so I really enjoyed that. It was cool. Like, listen, man, it was cool revisiting these moments in the first wave. It's wave 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love revisiting it. It just felt like it was just a bit long in the tooth for me. And so overall, while I did enjoy it, it's probably my least favorite that we've seen thus far.
I want to get your thoughts. I think Rob mentioned Loki is Tom Hiddleston is very particular in his cadence and performance. Are we going to get to an even worse problem? We've talked about before with variants of Lokis and whatnot. When Tom Hiddleston decides, yeah, I'm good, can they ever get anyone to replace him? Because as much as people are like, oh yeah, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man, he could probably replace Iron Man because he's been in a few things. But as Tom Hiddleston continues to rack on the hours of screen time, whether it's a TV show, which is Loki season 2 and potentially more, and additional movies, can anyone be a new Loki? Because this is getting out of hand now. Because I think that what John, you mentioned before, where when you hear a different voice actor, I wasn't thrown off with the Robert Downey Jr. voice clone or the Scarlett.
Yeah, I thought it was him.
But the Loki one, the Tom Hiddleston, if it was anyone else, I'd be like, I don't know if I could do this. Like, he's the only voice that kind of, I don't know if there's a like someone that could replicate it. So do you think they'll have a problem with replacing Tom Hiddleston, or do you think I'm just overthinking it?
No, I think you're right. Like if they had a sound alike or another voice actor, that person might not have been able to deliver those same lines that they had going on. I think if Loki continues this arc where he's basically turning into a good guy for the MCU, they are going to be in a tough spot to replace him. But if he kind of fades back into his bad guy role, then I think it's.
Can he even fade back into a bad guy role? Because everyone.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's going to be tough for him to kind of backpedal after, especially Loki season 2, unless he just turns straight up evil.
Unless it's a variant.
Unless he's a wrestler going to be hard, WWE, it's hard to turn heel after being such a good face. Yeah.
It's the John Cena problem. He could never be a bad guy. They tried over and over.
He made too much money.
As Pat would say, they tried a zillion times, never worked. Rob?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a problem. I think for sure. And I mean, I know I talked over John and I apologize, but my sentiment stays. He's such a face, using wrestling term. Even when he was the heel, even when he was the bad guy in the Avengers and in Thor, the 2 movies, he was just so damn likable, right? Like, not that you were rooting for him to win, but you were like, well, I wouldn't be terribly upset if he won, right? Like, we've had worse leaders. We've had worse leaders. Yes.
Why not?
Yeah, I'll give him a shot. See what he does.
You had to vote for Kang or Kodos, one or the other. It's a 2-party system. Why not?
That's right. So I think there is going to be a problem. I think it is going to be a very difficult time for them to pivot. And we hate using that term because that seems to be the COVID word du jour. But for them to pivot to create a Loki that can be menacing and evil. Now, if anybody can do it, it's Kevin Feige and Marvel and the writers that they've assembled to do things. But can it be Tom Hiddleston, or will they have to recast it as a variant, like you said? I think that these variants, obviously, from the Loki TV show, if people are wondering what we're talking about, we're talking about the variants, the idea of variants from the Loki TV series. They could do it. I mean, it opens the door to allow that, but yeah, I think it's going to be really tough. Oh, I just want to say quickly, though, I got to say, like, I loved the Hulk exploding.
Yeah.
But why did he explode? Like, did he get shot with Blade's anti-serum? Like, Blade, they show, that anti-serum, and the guy goes,
no.
No.
He
I was like, why did he explode?
Yellow Jacket.
He throws something into his heart.
Yeah, it was one of those things that enlarges. Yeah, and it enlarged his heart, his whole entire body enlarged from the inside.
So he turned into a bubble and exploded. Does that happen in Ant-Man 2? I don't remember Ant-Man 2 at all.
Remember in the Avengers where Scott Lang is like, hit this, Captain America, and he throws a little truck, and Captain America throws the thing and it expands to it, and it blows up. He's like, I thought there was water in there.
Yeah, but something huge would exploded.
But it's instead the of the technology of small to big, John. Think about that for a second. Just small, big, not rocket science. Just anything small, big.
Generally, it happens to you overnight, John.
I thought the bubbling was
and all the Ant-Man movies it's shown already that you can go small to big, like the building in Ant-Man 2, small.
Yeah, but it didn't bubble up like an explode, and then a building would be in its spot.
But that's a heart, John, that explodes. That's valves and things in there. John, I don't understand.
So it causes your whole body to bubble up. And
let me get this straight. You don't question anything that happens in Fast 9, but a little thing that blows up a heart, you're like, guys, I understand.
That's way too. That's crazy.
No, it's weird because the way that he killed the other characters, none of that happens, right? He kills other people with impact wounds
because that's the Hulk.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was weird.
I think, you know what, John, I hear what you're saying. I think that would probably be the only way they could have killed him, because there's really no. I was like I was wondering. Obviously, they know they're going to kill him. So how are they going to do it? They're going to use nanites. I was like, what are they going to do to kill this guy? I never thought that they would do the reverse and make him like pop as a balloon. I never expected that. I was like, okay, like whatever.
And then he turned into green liquid. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Well, John, if you exploded,
it's a kid show, John. It's a kid show.
Is it a kid show? They murdered Hulk.
Have you never seen Live and Let Die?
Yeah, go over there.
When he
Let's Live and Let Die.
The James Bond movie where he
hasn't. No, he hasn't.
I might have seen it, but I don't know any of these damn names.
It's a CO2 cartridge and he explodes. Come on.
Okay, if that was a CO2 cartridge that you threw in there, sure. Whatever. Anyway, besides the
point. I wish there was a chat we could just make fun of you right now, John. Everyone in the side panel will be like, John, what is wrong with you?
No, he blows up into green goo, and I question.
Yes, if it was red blood, it'd be rated R. That's why you can't do it that way.
No, I think his heart should have just stopped and she just collapsed. Anyways, go ahead.
I don't know if that's how it works either, John, but we'll carry on. Maybe if Hulk said I had another life and his heart exploded, you would just have no questions that be asked. You know, I had a life before this, as all the answers of the Fast 9 universe. I had a life before this. Yeah, nonetheless,
I live my life a green mile at a time. Sorry.
Yeah. Let's just say the actress chosen to be Betty Ross, that was the one that threw me off. I was like, really? Liv Tyler is not available? Like everyone else, I'm like, she's not available to do a phone call voice acting? But because I think almost everyone outside of Black Widow, Captain Marvel, and Iron Man were the OG voices, including freaking Jamie Alexander showed up as Lady Sif for like 2 seconds. I was like, wow, that is everyone. Okay. Any weird unanswered questions, John, that you have from this episode outside of the heart exploding?
The whole, it has to be the whole thing then. That's I don't know. I question why, like, I had to go through my mind and go, in Ant-Man 2, did Hope die or something like that? And I looked up, that's the Evangeline Lilly character. I'm like, they're gonna choose that this character went on a mission. So the real name of this is, what if this character died? Hope died during a shield mission, and then these are all the repercussions.
But if you gave that nugget away, then there's no mystery between, like,
but there, kind of like it was it's like if you're watching movie, John, to figure out the mystery without them just straight out telling you. You know what I mean? There's nothing established. They didn't show the mission where she died, so you can kind of go, oh, okay. There was no, like, it's so this is basically a rehash of Big Hero 6. Yeah, it's basically the plot of Big Hero 6, right? The guy thinks his daughter is gone, and I was like, okay, I'm like, is this no, his wife was the one that disappeared in the movie, and then they find out she's alive. So I question them making the crux of this episode a character that essentially dies off screen, or in not even a flashback, in a story of what happened. So I was like, weird. Yeah.
I have the same criticism as Fast 9. Don't worry about it. We'll keep on going. John, I understand. Rob, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I would agree with John. This is really weird, and I'm agreeing with John so much. Aside from the heart of the Hulk, that is ridiculous, John.
Okay, we're gonna
but they hope Van
replay
Dyne,
where he turns into green goo, and you explain to me the physics of why the Hulk turns into green goo. Go ahead.
John, it's for kids. It can't be anything besides green goo.
This episode is not kids. They killed off all their favorite Avengers.
but there's a difference between.
It's not for kids,
John. But the difference between rated R, when you like Blade, when people die and it's red blood, that's rated R. People just die and they fall over. That's PG-13.
That's fine. I understand why they did it, Stu, but I don't understand why green goo is the.
Because what else could they have done? Would you want to see a spleen on an organ?
He could have just dropped.
Bone?
He could have just dropped.
I think it was just to show that the way the Hulk needs to die needs to be very visceral and be like, oh, like, hey, because
that's
Hulk
okay for kids.
Well, like again, there's lots of TV shows and movies where they turn to goo. Like in the other Hulk movie, when they tried to, like the guy turned into goo. Remember when Yellow Jacket was the other guy and he turned him into goo and wiped him off and flushed him down the toilet?
Yeah. You know, John, I think for you would have been better is if Hank Pym shrank the Hulk down, drops to the ground, somebody goes to step on him, the Hulk's holding his foot up and then goes like that. And that would have been it. That probably would have made more sense to you.
I don't know about that. But
okay.
Anyways, yeah, go on. What else?
So my issue was, again, as John said, the whole Hope Van, like I felt like it really shoehorned in, bringing in Hank Pym. Like Hope was never a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. She like none of that was established. And this is where, again, we go back to this episode takes a lot of these key moments from these movies and says, but what if they all died and you see their deaths? But Hope was never a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. She was never
ever don't know this because we were not privy to this information.
Well, in the two Ant-Man movies, she's never worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. It's never been established. So
I understand, but this is a different universe. So you just have to roll with it. It's just like the same logic in the Fast movies. Just roll with it. There's no explanation to anything.
But they took things from every other movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's an inconsistency. Had Hank's motivation been about Janet, right? Because she was lost in the microverse or whatever, and he went ballistic after that and blamed, like, then I could kind of understand because Janet was a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well as Hank. Yep. And we saw what happens with her when she gets lost and this and that. If the string of thought is that he goes crazy over time trying to get Janet back and realizes that if it wasn't the whole motivation, if it wasn't because of you and S.H.I.E.L.D. and this and that, she would never have gone on that mission. Like, then I understand. That would have been more plausible to me than all of a sudden saying, oh, well, our daughter was in this and you never, like as John said, you never got to see any of that. Like, it just so again, as John just said, when you're relying on all these pre-existing moments to pull from, to pivot to show the deaths as opposed to what we saw, to then fabricate something that has never been part of the existing movie franchise, it just doesn't. The pieces just don't fit. I get it; it's part of the puzzle, but it doesn't. It's the wrong puzzle piece. That's all. So that would be my biggest unanswered question.
Gotcha. All right. Okay. The question we always go to next, if those are listening at home. Do you want more of this? Would you want this to continue in its own separate universe? Would you want to jump back in? Do you want to see more of this, John?
Yeah, like I said, I think this entire episode probably could have happened in the first 10 minutes, and I would have liked to see how they deal with Loki. So you could almost call it, what if Loki had won Avengers 1? So that feels like more of a single point that they could have twisted. And I want to see Captain Marvel. I feel like Captain Marvel keeps getting shafted because they don't have the budget to kind of like let her do her thing. So she got a bit of a limelight in was it Endgame? She got to kick some ass in Endgame, and then her movie definitely felt rushed. A lot of people argue that they kind of crammed it, like kind of like accelerated the production, and you can see that it's not as fully cooked, similar to for Captain America: First Avenger or whatever. So I would have liked to see an Avengers with her actually in the roster with no budget constraints. So this is why comic books as a medium is so great, that you're making something with no budget, no anything. So the sky is the limit. Your imagination can whatever, as long as your artist can physically draw it, it's limitless. So that's why sometimes, you know, if Andre was on here, he would say, you know, comics is one of the best mediums that we can get. 100%. So I definitely would like to see the second, the you know, the B side, which is actually, I think, the A side, and we got the reverse. We got this B side of a fun slasher flick where they kill off all the original Avengers. I would have liked to see the other side. I'm more interested in seeing the other heroes. So yeah, I definitely would have preferred to see the other side. I don't know if I wanted to see this continue necessarily, you know, but whatever.
Rob?
No, I'm okay. This episode was good. Like I said, it felt a little bit long in the tooth, so I'm okay with it. We've talked about, though, in each episode at the very end, there's always been, except for the first one. Although I don't remember what the first one, the end had, the teaser, the stinger, but we know that with last week's, with Peter Quill and Ego and everything else of that, like, it feels like they're setting up for something.
Well, she drops in a different time. Like, she comes back from wherever
she comes out,
and you're like, oh, okay, she's cool.
Right, that's it. Yeah.
The lost terminology, you put a lantern on, and then they basically had her come out. It's like, oh, where's Steve? And she's like, oh, you've been trapped, and this is the year, blah blah blah. So that's the way it ended.
Yeah, sorry. So it feels like they're teeing up something, although, like, these end moments are all going to add up to something down the road. Although I'm starting to wonder if that's actually correct, or if they're just leaving you hanging because, hey, they're just shitting and messing with you, and it's fun for them.
These are what ifs, right?
Yeah. So no, I don't need to see any more episodes based on this specific one. Yeah. No, I'm done.
Shout outs to at least all of us who are comic book nerds who know Hank Pym is not. If you tweak him the wrong way, he can be a very bad man. Yeah. So I think it was just a nice reminder to those who are not indoctrinated in comic books that, you know, Hank Pym has a storied history. He's not just the nice guy that you know from the MCU. He has a lot of baggage, a lot of issues, and that the reason why Ultron went kind of nuts is because they used his imprint, his mind originally in the comic books is Ultron. So it's kind of the reverse. He is one of the smartest men on the planet. And if he goes evil, like, things can go wrong really quickly. So, I think they'll stay away from the fact that he, physically abused his wife, because that's the thing in the comic books. But in terms of this, it's just a reminder that if Hank Pym was evil, he could do a lot of bad things. So it's just a slight nod to that, because Hank Pym in the MCU has been set up just as like he's a curmudgeon old man, but everyone loves him. So this is just a reminder that, you know, these characters have so much different dimensions to them. And in the comic books, you can spread that out through years and years and add different folds to them. But in the MCU, it's kind of limited because they're only movies. So you only get to see one dimension, and then they just have to scrap them and go away. Even Iron Man, there are lots of different dimensions to Iron Man because he's been around for so long. It just, you can't do it because movies like, that first movie was like 1998. So after Robert Downey's like, okay, I'm cool, I can't do anymore, next. So
it wasn't that. No, it wasn't 1998
or 2008. Sorry.
Yeah.
2008. Sorry.
1998, right before, right when Blade.
That was Blade. Sorry, 1999 or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. So it is kind of nice to see full circle. Okay, so we're gonna jump over to ratings. John, what do you rate this episode? You said it was worse than the other ones.
It's worse than the other ones, and, you know, not my favorite. Like I said, some of these are gonna hit, some of them are gonna miss for people. I just thought the kind of the theming of the last two episodes were just more up my alley, what I want to see. I still would give it maybe it's still entertaining. You're still gonna see, like Rob said, all the cues from all the movies, so you get like a little bit of walk down memory lane. So I would say maybe a 7 out of 10, maybe.
Rob?
Damn it, John. It's like you and I are synced today. I'm also giving it a 7.
Synced?
Yeah, oh boy.
Rob is gonna say synchronicity.
That's a Backstreet Boys dance, by the way.
Oh, whatever. They're all the same to me.
I think it is an NSYNC dance. You're right.
Yes. At any rate,
that is a NSYNC song, John. That's Bye 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 with the puppets. So you just don't know.
Bye Bye Bye. But is it not also Everybody?
Is it Backstreet's Back?
It's both.
I think is
also. Look at this guy's got the technical proper naming of that track.
I'm also going to give it a 7. Just like my O-Town brethren down below me. O-Town. Yeah.
Making the band, baby. Making the band for all you kids that don't know.
Yeah.
Making the band.
Rob's Liquid Dreams.
Yeah. John's gonna change his on-screen name to Ashley Angel. But yeah, definitely a 7 out of 10. I think it's just fair. It has its fun moments. We've discussed them. It's cool to watch. This would be one I probably wouldn't watch again though. But it is cool to watch. You know what? I would watch it if my son was like, "Hey," I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of neat because we've already seen what happened." So give it a 7. It's not shit. It's just not my favorite.
It was interesting, John, to your backdrop before we jumped to conclude. It was interesting to see the Watcher more predominant in this episode than any other one.
Yeah, it was like every cut, like they would be like
any transition scene,
any landscape, whether it was like in the desert or in San Francisco, you just see him kind of looking. I thought it was a really cool visual.
Yeah, because we haven't seen that before.
Yeah. I thought it was well done. Like
I did like all the title cards. Like it was like a day in the life of Nick Fury. Like so, like
I think it was weak.
They could have it could have been more Nick Fury focused or something like that.
I'm just happy that I could see Coulson again. Coulson was great.
He was a good
Clark
character.
Gregg.
Yeah. So it was good times. Do you have a comic that you recommend that, John, if people like this, an Avengers book, or that you could recommend so people check out?
That's a good point. I would definitely check out if you like this stuff, because this is very MCU.
This is a very particular,
yeah. So I would say check out the Ultimates. If you've never read the Ultimates by Mark Millar and Brian Hitch, I believe. It was like a lot of the things from the MCU came from that series. The thing that Stu mentioned where Ant-Man abuses his wife and like stuff like that. It came from that book, which was a relaunching of this Avengers idea that ended up, a lot of things got lifted for these movies. So Ultimates and Ultimates 2, the follow-up, we do have them in stock at the shop, so you can check those out. But
and they called the shot too in it because there is a scene, and I'm not to spoil it, where Samuel Jackson, they asked, Nick Fury, they're like, who would play you in the movie? And he's like, Samuel L. Jackson. So Mark Millar called his shot. It's like Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, it was the origin of Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. They basically just drew that. So I wonder if he sends them a nice Christmas present every year or whatever.
Well,
for lining up his work for the next 20 years or whatever, right?
I think the Christmas present is you got 20 movies on your belt and you're guaranteed work for the rest of your life. So I think that's
I wonder if Samuel Jackson sends them.
Oh no. He was just like, because Samuel Jackson apparently, like, he is a comic book reader. So when he saw that, he's like, that's me. He was like, I'm gonna he's like, he's just lucky they probably didn't sue him. They sue Marvel. He's like, that's my face. That's me. So but the fact that they're like, how about we just bring you in as Nick Fury? And he's like, all right, cool, man, I'll sign. He probably makes more money doing these Marvel movies than any of the crappy Protege and all these other movies he shows.
Snakes on a plane.
Or the Hitman's Bodyguard 1 and 2. Like, he probably gets a nice gig and he doesn't have to do anything. You just walk in a room, wear some black leather, just bounce. It's like cool. Rob?
I mentioned this before, this comic, and I think actually Andre may have mentioned it. I think it's a bit apropos for this What If episode, and that is Spider-Man Life Stories by Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley. And the only reason I say that is because the book, it essentially starts off in the 60s when Spider-Man in the comics first comes, and then it goes throughout the decades. The problem is that it hits every pivotal moments in the Spider-Man lore, including the Clone Saga, the Black Costume, all these type of things. But when the Clone Saga happens in the 90s, Spider-Man or Peter Parker is that old in as if he was born in like the late 50s, right? So I would just say, because it hits those moments, those familiar Spider-Man moments throughout the course of his run that you're familiar with, but they're doing it in a what if, but he's aged appropriately throughout the decades. I would say Spider-Man Life Stories by Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley, and I believe that they have some at the store. They're in. It was only 6 issues, but it's collected in a trade form. So definitely pick it up. It's a lot of fun. It's cool. It's just a different take on things.
Awesome. All right, John, where can people find you on the interwebs and in the desert of the real?
Yeah, so online, it's very simple. It's Heroes World Online. All is one word. Thank you everybody for always sharing and checking out our posts on Instagram, Facebook, and all over the place. And some people have asked me how do they tag us in Facebook? Sometimes it won't let them. But if you actually type at Heroes World Online, all one word, our Facebook page will fill in the rest of that blank for you. And then if you're traveling about in the real world and you want to check us out in person, we are located on 8601 Warden Avenue in Markham, Ontario. We're directly in the northeast corner of Warden and Highway 7. There's a lot of things going on in our plaza. If you feel safe and comfortable going out, we've got McDonald's, we've got No Frills, there's a Canada Computer in there, and there is the very lovely Felix and Mr. Norton, a cookie place right next to us. So if you want to get some treats for your dinner or at home, or if it's just another Monday.
Cookies for dinner, baby. Just like Cookie Monster would say. Just
yeah. Come give us a visit and stop by some of the other local shops. We would love to see it. It's a lot of fun to be able to see people walk in and out the door now.
Rob?
Yeah, so you can actually find me on Instagram at _905, but more importantly, you can find John and I tomorrow, every Monday night, live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We do the Heroes World Sidekick Show. Tomorrow night, listen, there's a small little trailer that came out this past week. I don't know if you heard about it. It was something like 20 million views in like 24 hours, but that was called Spider-Man No Way Home. And what you didn't see was a certain person named Mr. Tobey Maguire appear in it. But we all know he's going to be in this new Spider-Man movie. Well, John and I are going in the way back machine to 2002 to the very first Spider-Man movie directed by Sam Raimi, starring the aforementioned Mr. Tobey Maguire. So definitely join us. You can check that out tonight if you want, or sometime tomorrow. It's on Netflix Canada. If you don't own a copy, John would say it's blasphemous if you don't. But check out that movie and then join us tomorrow as we riff on and revisit. Does it still hold up? Is it still your Spider-Man? And is this something that you will always hold on to and cherish, or is this a bunch of just a pant load and a product of its time? So definitely join us tomorrow as we discuss Spider-Man. Yeah.
Awesome. So again, please be safe out there. Support your local stores. Buy something small. Buy whatever you can. If you can't support, for example, the Heroes World store, like, subscribe, comment below. Any 5-star reviews on iTunes is most welcome. It just helps get the presence of the podcast known and people more to understand how you can support John and Andre. So if you can do that, comment on YouTube, do all the bells, subscribe, all that stuff that people ask to do, because it really does help them to get their recognition. You'd be surprised when people don't know that there's a comic book store in Markham. So people don't know. So any help for John and Andre to get that exposure is more than welcome. So thank you all. Thank you for the review. We'll be back next week with episode 4 of What If. And see you later. Bye, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Stu.
Adios.
Bye.